Hi everyone, this is Penguin Trades. We're looking at the ES futures on a 500 tick chart with a 21 EMA. And initially, price went into this downtrend here. You can see this is our overnight high, this is our overnight low, our key levels for the day. And we went into this downtrend in the overnight session. It played out with a break and a sharp push to a new low. That quickly led to a sharp reversal. You can see we make two attempts to reverse. And these two legs are obviously one leg on a bigger picture. So you can see when this we pushed up here with this uptrend. We got a break, push up to a new high. Price then made two attempts to reverse, which failed and made the larger leg up. And so you can see here, we got these two legs up, pushing off the overnight low. And before this measured move was reached, while this uptrend did play out with a break and a new high, and we got these two attempts to reverse, which means that we can look to continue long. This is still a common reversal area. Even though it didn't reach the measured move, it still could easily push lower into a failed second entry from here and completely switch directions. But if we get two attempts, it just depends how that second attempt reacts. And so right at that measured move, price starts pushing higher. And this is a good spot to catch a failed second entry if it can form one. Here it didn't really form one. After these two legs down, technically someone might say that's a failed second entry, but it didn't set up well here, and I'll explain why. So after price started pushing up here, it makes a new high, and so that's already not a good sign because that makes it more likely for a stronger reversal, meaning a failed second entry is less likely to set up well and hold to the upside. So when we make that new high here, we just get two sharp legs down, pushing far below the EMA, and even though it's a clear two-legged move down, that doesn't mean it's a good entry. We're still getting very bearish, pushing below the EMA. We just made a new high before that happened, so we don't know if it's going to have a full-on reversal here. And so after that second leg down, price struggles to get back above the EMA. What I'd like to see at this point is a push above and then a couple legs back. Basically, I'd like it to form another failed second entry stemming from this swing here, but it ends up not occurring. You can see it to the tick, it has a failed second entry. It just can't get above the EMA. So we have first entry short, and then second entry short to here, and then failure. But it just doesn't set up very well. It's not off of any clear support. It's really just struggling to get back above the EMA there. So it's not ideal, but it pushes on higher here. We go into this uptrend. We get a break. You can see we get our first attempt at a new high, second attempt at a new high. And the other thing about this right here before it takes off is we get our first fade attempt for the overnight high, and then our second fade attempt, and then it takes off and makes the new high for that uptrend. So it doesn't really set up well for a long. It is just chopping up and down between the EMA, not off of any clear support or anything, but it does push up to a new high, and now price is getting a reversal on down. And so we really just got to see what price does. It's kind of a competition area because we have an uptrend here, and the bulls are going to want to hold on the uptrend, but the bears are going to want to fade the overnight level that we just broke out of, especially with this uptrend being played out. And so as you can see, it's pushing on down here, we're getting that fade, and this measured move right here is in play. It's just now being met, so we'll see how price reacts. Even though price is pushing in here, it could easily count as the two fade attempts, and it may have just needed to reach that measured move before pushing off into a failure. So we'll see how price reacts. If price pushes through this measured move level, then what we'd look for is a retest of it. If we can push through that level and then get two legs back retesting that level, then we can get a short and continue with the downtrend. Because what that would include is, with those two attempts up, would include the first two attempts at a new high for the uptrend break. And so I'm just going to draw that out here real quick. If we can get a push below, a couple legs back, at that point the uptrend will have a clear break with a first attempt higher, second attempt higher, and then we can get short on the failure while it's retesting that level. So that's what I would like to see here. Now obviously if it does end up holding on this level here, we'll have to switch gears. If it holds on this measured move level, it could push back out of the overnight high, and then we can look for a failed second entry and get long with the breakout. And so anyway, I'm just going to go ahead and pause it here. I just noticed my ticks are not moving. I might have I just realized I have a connection problem. I have to fix my internet real quick. All right, I'm going to go ahead and end this video here, and I'll I'll unpause it when something interesting happens, but I gotta reconnect my Wi-Fi real quick. Alright, so I just connected my Wi-Fi and reloaded my data. So price reached this measured move. Whenever it disconnects, it ends up making all the drawings look whack. Not all the time, but some of them. So anyway, price pushed down here. We reached this measured move. You can see we had a couple attempts off of it here, but we didn't really get any clear trades off of it because we don't want to enter short directly into the measured move level. Even though it's, finding support right here, it did push through that EMA, but it looks like it's finding support off this double top that it's forming here. But we just don't know if it's gonna for sure push down from there. It did just reach this measured move. It could push up to a new high for the uptrend break, and so it's just not the best spot for a short, but it does end up pushing on through here. And you can see now when we draw this trend line off the high, it's not fitting so well off the lows, but you can see here if we draw it off the lows and then drag it to the highs, it's fitting a lot better. And sometimes that's how you have to get channels. It's not always going to be off the highs for downtrends and off the lows for uptrends. Sometimes you can do the opposite and just see how it holds. If it ends up breaking, then we need to consider that, but if it's showing consistent holds, then we have to consider that as well. So I just wanted to go over that. Now price is overshooting this channel. It is getting pretty steep of a move down. Overshoots generally lead to breaks. Overshoots indicate, well, in the case of a downtrend overshoot, it indicates oversold. And so that's a hint that we could get a sharp reversal out the other side. And it's very common to get reversal patterns after overshoots. And so that's one thing that we could get. It is common to get them within the wider trend, which is fine to take them as long as it's a valid setup and you're getting a clear entry with room, then you can take them. But sometimes what you'll get is what we're kind of getting right here. We're getting this two legs up, and it's not quite at the EMA yet, but sometimes you'll get a two-legged retest of the EMA after an overshoot, which is an entry to continue the overshoot. And so anyway, I'm probably gonna go ahead and cut this recording here just for now, and then I'll unpause it when something interesting happens. I'll see y'all later. Alright, so we're in this here. It's a short. Let me just draw out my RR here. So we're going to be going for 20 ticks, going for 1-to-1. And you can see here, price made these two legs up. We're forming these highs. We're forming these clear range highs after that overshoot. This is the second attempt to reverse. Price is at the trend line right here. And we're basically just looking to get in on this two-legged move that's holding at the trend line and at these range highs right here and write it down to the lows of this range. And so that's the trade. Just wanted to show what I'm doing here. You can see from this downtrend, we have this smaller downtrend. It's a two-legged break, so we have a downtrend with a break, and we can expect price to attempt a new low. And it fits perfectly with the wider trend line that we got from those lows here. So that's what this trade is, and I'm going to go ahead and just let this trade play out, and I'll see y'all in a bit. Alright, and we are out of that here. Price has just reached the lows of this range right here. We're not expecting it to go any further. That's why we have our target here at these lows. And so yeah, again, basically just getting in on the new low attempt from this downtrend break at this two-legged move up at these range highs and at this wider trend line. and this all happened right after a major overnight high reversal. Alright, so prices continued down. You can see we have these two big legs here, and I've drawn out this wider trend that is possibly in play. I mean, it fits very well, so it's definitely valid. But I had to do a slight cut through there, so it just goes from this high swing through that swing, and then these lows. There's only really one hold off these lows here, but the overall angle of this push down clearly matches with this channel here, so we're going to see how price reacts to this trend line. And you can see here this uptrend, this smaller one has a small break and then a push up to a new high, so we could easily get a second leg up to a new high soon and see how that reacts, because the uptrend will be playing out right as price is reaching that, which should make it react more bearish to it, but we'll see what happens. So if we get a good reaction, then we could get a push below and then go into a failed second entry. Now so on this wider channel it is overshooting again, and so that could lead to a break. It wasn't like a confirmed channel that it's overshooting, but it could react similarly. So we're getting a reaction here. Now price has been holding above the EMA this whole time here, so I want to see price get back below and make a clear rush below. It's just been too consistently holding above at this point. And so if we can get a rush below, it can go into a failed second entry where we can easily get a short. If we just get a push down and then a couple legs back, we can get short right there, and then continue down with the overall downtrend. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this here, and I'll see you all in a bit. Alright, so for some reason I'm having Wi-Fi problems. I entered this trade, and then right as I entered it, my Wi-Fi went out. I'm actually having to trade off my hotspot right now because my internet is not working. But if I can go to, because I'm not even sure exactly where I entered or whatever. Okay, so I entered here, right there, and then I got out right there. So this did pull back quite a bit. Now I didn't really have a whole lot of time to, mess with the orders after, but I got the order set to 16 because 16 was right at the high right there, and so basically right as I set the orders, my internet went out, and then I just had to restart everything. And now that I'm back, I can see with my plots what happened. So it pulled back all the way down to here. Now the reason I liked this was we had these two legs down, and price met it right on that green bar. You see on this green bar how price reached the measured move and then shot above here. So I liked going long to ride it to the high of this right here. Now one thing that I may have overlooked here was the fact that we were still below the EMA, and it was right after an overshoot that happened at a measured move being met, and so I probably should have waited for a little bit more confirmation above here, because it did, I believe that's why likely it went so close to my stop here. But it does end up pushing on higher here. I do like this general area, but I don't think that I should have taken it based on it being a good bar off the key entry point, just considering it did just reach a large up measured move, which led to a pretty strong reversal down, and I should have waited for a little bit more confirmation. But anyway, I just wanted to explain this here. As soon as I got filled, the internet went out, and the bars just stopped going by, so I had to restart everything, and then now I can see what happened. I've already reloaded it. Obviously the bars got really messed up from the Wi-Fi going out, but I reloaded it, so it looks good now. But so that's where I got out. That's where I got in right there, and just wanted to show that. I'm gonna go ahead and turn off my markers here, just because they clutter up the chart. And so anyway, price pushed on up here, made a new high, couple legs back. It was really just making a double top with that previous high and then finding resistance at it, which led to these two legs back. And so going long right here, I wouldn't go long right there because it's just right into that previous measured move level, right where there's clear resistance, so I would skip all that. Ideally, price would have pushed a whole lot further through this measured move level and then made a couple legs back instead of just one leg back. If we got to push up, two legs down, retesting that measured move level, that could give us a great long. But anyway, price is clearly continuing up with this channel here, so we're definitely looking for longs here. Now, here's the thing: as more price action forms, we got to look for the bigger picture structures. And so, when we had these two initial legs up here, that led to two attempts to reverse, and then price failed to reverse. So we continued on higher, which means that eventually we're going to need to combine these two legs here. We're going to have to combine them into one leg. And you can see here we have our first leg up with a two-legged break, and now this is the start of that second leg up. Now that we have two smaller legs up within it, we're, as you can see, more likely to get a sharper reversal down, and that's exactly what we're getting. And so it just depends how this trend holds, this trend line. Price may make a correction and then make a second leg down, very common to see in reversals. And so, yeah, right now basically the uptrend is played out with a break and a new high, and we're going to see how the wider uptrend reacts to that. So this is basically the bears wanting to get short to reverse from the uptrend playing out, and excuse me, and basically make a new low for the even larger downtrend break. So this downtrend has a two-legged break, and we could get a push down to a new low. It just depends on how this trend holds, and there's going to be bears that want to get in on that, and if they can get through this level here, this lower trend line, then we could get a couple legs up, which would play out the uptrend, and then get short for the move to a new low. And so just to explain further, because I don't want to confuse anyone, what I mean is the bears that want to make a new low for this downtrend, because it has a break, only after getting through this lower trend line and getting a couple attempts up can we get a good entry for that. And so anyway, price is clearly holding to the upside here. We just made a symmetrical pattern here. It's making a V. When price has a sharp spike in one direction, it is very common to see price take it all back very quickly. You don't enter on it just based on that reason alone, but it is a very common thing to see. And so now that we're pushing back up, we have another chance for a two-legged move down, which can offer us a good long to continue higher. We have an active measured move in play. We're continually holding on this uptrend, and so, that's what I'm looking for now. I'd like to see a couple legs back for a long, and yeah, I'm going to go ahead and pause the recording here, and I'll see y'all in a bit. Alright, so this uptrend has a break, and we have these two attempts at a new high to the overnight high. And if we can get a good reaction and a push below the EMA, then we can get a good short soon. So basically from this overshoot, you can see this uptrend got an overshoot that led to two legs down, and then that pushes us into two attempts to reverse. Now, it all depends on how price holds to this measured move level, in this overnight high. If price continues on up here, then likely what we're seeing is a downtrend with a break and a new low pushing into a full-on reversal. But if price can't get past this two-legged move up here, then we'll be getting a larger second leg down. So it all depends on how price holds here. And so, I'm going to go ahead and pause it here, and very soon we could get something. So I was thinking we might have just about to get something. Price just held above the EMA again. So I'm going to go ahead and pause the recording here. We do have this previous measured move level that could interfere. I'd like to see price get below that level. And so, yeah, I will see you all in a bit. Alright, so price is pushing on out of the overnight high again. So unless we get a fade back in and, a strong push below, then we're going to have to switch gears. If we continue higher, then what I'd like to see is a couple attempts down. That way we can get two attempts to fade and get in on a fade failure and continue long. But if we get a fade, which it's, as you can see, attempting to do right now, then that can offer us another chance for a short. We could even just push down from here and then make a couple legs back and get in on a smaller entry with room to this previous measured move level. Or of course we could push on through and then get a couple legs back and get something even larger based on the second leg down. So the larger second leg down is what I'm referencing. So if we continue lower, continue making this second leg down before this measured move is reached, that would be a good place to get a couple legs back and then get short and continue pushing lower with the active measured move in play. So that's what I'd like to see. I'm going to go ahead and kill the recording here just for now, and I'll see y'all later. Alright everyone, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up this video. I am going to continue trading. I've been trading for about 2 hours at this point, and I'm going to trade for probably another 2 or 3 hours, maybe 4 hours. And I will be posting the full day review, the end of day review on the website, as well as the blog. And so I hope to see you there. That's going to do it for this video. Just to wrap up here, you can see this uptrend. After we got those couple attempts at a new high, we had initially a couple attempts to reverse, which failed. It wasn't a great failure entry, but it did clearly react like a failure. But it didn't get very far before making another fade attempt, and now it's kind of just finding resistance at the overnight high, but it's not able to get away from it too much or fade it. It's kind of just going into this chop here. So we'll see how this last reaction goes. But you can see here, price attempted to fade, that failed. We're pushing on out, and now we're kind of getting another leg up here. So from here, from the initial 2 attempts to fade, we're getting these 2 legs up. So we'll see how price reacts. It could end up pushing on lower from here based on the 2-legged move. If it does, then that could give us a chance for a smaller 2-legged move down to the overnight high for a long. You can see, from here we are holding up on these lows here. So if we can get something down that's off the overnight high and this key entry point at the same time, that could give us a long. We'd need to consider that there is some resistance forming up here. But we could get a small long still. So that's what I'm going to be looking for here. I'm going to go ahead and end this video. I will be trading for another couple hours. Like I said, I'm going to post a full day review on the website. And yeah, thank you for watching, and I'll see y'all tomorrow.